Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this special community conversation, Nutritional Security in Central New York. What could it look like? My name is Tanisha Murphy, and can you hear me? My name is Tanisha Murphy. I'm the moderator this evening. I am a former co-host of the show Bridge Street on News Channel 9. I'm also a co-host on the Gomez and Company morning show on TK99 and TK105. And the job that actually pays the bills is for the Onondaga County. I work with inside the county executive's office as a communications officer. So happy that I'm able to join you tonight and moderate this event. I just want to say a couple of notes here. At the top right hand of your screen, there's a little area, it says view. And we ask people to select speaker view so that you can not only see the speaker speaking, you can also see the slides that we'll be showing. That way you can see them both. If you just want to see the slides, that's fine as well. But if you'd like to see the speaker too, select speaker view. Also, as this is a conversation, we are looking forward to hearing from all of you as well. To start, please introduce yourself in the chat box. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. It says chat with a little cloud there. You can add your name and where you are joining us from. We'd love to know. And as you have questions or comments throughout the evening, you are encouraged to use the chat box function. And as you can see on your screen there, it's pointing to where the chat box is located down at the bottom. So leave us a note, give us your name, tell us where you're from, and any questions you have anytime during the program tonight, feel free to drop them in there and we will answer them at the end of the event. Tonight's conversation is about something that impacts all of us, food. Food insecurity is when a person or family is struggling to get enough food or has to make tough choices between food and other needs. It is estimated that as many as 1 in 6 households in the US experienced food insecurity in 2020. And although food insecurity is not a new problem, COVID-19 is making it worse. For our conversation tonight, you may hear a different term, nutritional security. So a lot of people will refer to food insecurity as nutritional security. Nutritional security emphasizes the importance of essential nutrients. Adequate nutrient security requires the intake of a wide range of foods, which provides the essential needed nutrients. When people struggle with making their food dollar stretch further, they may have to sacrifice quality over variety or even skip meals. And just a really quick, we're all one, pandemic, one accident, one, whatever emergency away from being in a spot where we experience nutritional security and food insecurity. And I remember a time back when I was in college and, trying to make ends meet as a college student and trying to pay for my own way. And there was a time where I would just eat Snickers bars just to get by, so that's the best that I could do. They promoted it as it lasted, it'll feed you for 3 hours. And I said, well, hey, it's good and it's what I can eat. But so, this is real and it can affect all of us. And so like I said, so to make people's dollar stretch further, they may have to sacrifice quality over variety, which is something that I've had to do before, or even skip meals, which is something I've had to do before, and to make ends meet. So the results can be devastating with the increased risk of obesity, eating candy bars, heart disease, diabetes, and some types of cancer. Trouble in school for children and teens, and increased stress and poor mental health. If you or a loved one need help with food, we encourage you to contact the Food Bank of Central New York via foodbankcny.org for help locating a food distribution site nearest you, or for assistance applying for SNAP, which is formerly food stamps. The American Heart Association believes in the right to healthy food for all people to live their best lives. Alongside committed sponsors like National Grid, the American Heart Association is working to improve nutrition and food security for everyone, everywhere in America and right here in Central New York. Now I'd like to introduce Carrie Sweet Zavaglia, General Counsel for National Grid and the upcoming Heart Challenge Chair. Good evening, Carrie.
Hi, Tanisha. Thank you so much. National Grid has been a proud supporter of the American Heart Association for over a decade, and I am honored to be here today. When we use terms like food insecurity or nutritional security, it can feel distant. The words themselves don't make us feel what we see every day in our community. Tonight, we will see and hear the results from a Photovoice project. You will see and hear through the eyes and voice of children who describe what does it look like to be nutrition secure or nutrition insecure in your community. On behalf of National Grid, I'm proud to share this video for the first time. And following the video, we will hear from Dana Zanders of Jack and Jill America Syracuse chapter.
Hi, my name is Emmanuel Odom. I am 5 years old and I'm sharing my story from Ithaca, New York. For my nutrition, we pack lunch for school for me. And I have turkey, lettuce, almonds, and I have raisins, and I have apples, cheese stick, granola bar, and a water bottle to keep me hydrated. My parents take me to the food cabinet. We leave cans of food for people who need it.
Most of these food deserts that I took pictures of are mainly boarded up or abandoned. Like whoever lived here didn't get enough resources or anything to live there anymore, so they probably moved. That's why they are abandoned.
I took this photo to show an example of nutrition insecurity. A supermarket called No Jams was removed from the community, which left no store for people that were located in that area to go to. This next picture that I took is an example of nutrition security. This is a picture of a community-owned cooperative grocery store where people in the community can go and buy the food that they need.
My name is Trinity Odom. I'm 15 years old from Ithaca, New York, and this is my Photovoice project. This picture is of the Southside Community Center, which has a food pantry for those in need who don't have access to food. They can come here and get it, and it's very beneficial to our community. And this picture is more of a close-up of the sign showing the safety precautions during COVID to keep everybody safe while still serving people in need. This picture is of a full pantry with a variety of food items, healthy, some less healthy than others, but still a good balance of nutrition. This picture is of a pantry that does not have a good balance of nutrition, more junk food items, which are sometimes easier to get, and the rest of the pantry is empty. And this final picture is of some fresh fruits and veggies, which are nutritious.
Those were some powerful images. Thank you to our youth for capturing those photos and for letting their voices be heard. Jack and Jill of America, Inc. is proud to join forces with the American Heart Association to raise awareness of issues in the Black community. Both organizations, Jack and Jill and the American Heart Association, share common priorities and interests in reaching communities with important messages relating to issues that include health equity. And nutritional security is definitely a health equity issue. In fact, the Eastern Region Community Service theme for Jack and Jill of America is centered around this specific initiative. Our theme is feeding the body, mind, and soul, where feeding the body concentrates solely on food insecurity. Feeding the mind focuses on literacy and education, and the objective of feeding the soul is mental wellness. One of the hallmarks of Jack and Jill of America is the emphasis on stimulating growth and development in youth. We believe that we have the power to make a difference in the lives of children and families, and we strive to make a change by actively engaging our national and local partners. So we were truly honored to partner with you on this project. So at this time, I would like to invite a few of the youth who participated in the project to say a few words about their experience. We'll start with Trinity Odom Reed.
So I really liked the Photovoice Project. I think it brought more awareness to different disparities between communities that would otherwise not be brought attention towards unless there's a huge event. So I really think that it was impactful for all ages to really self-reflect on our own individual communities and also educate ourselves about nutrition and nutrition disparities between different communities.
Next, we'll have Alan Sanders.
I knew what food insecurity was before this project because being in Jack and Jill, we help to provide food for those who may not be able to afford it. But this project helped me better understand the reasons why. The reasons why some people weren't able to afford the food.
Now we'll have Ariana Knighton.
Hi, my name is Aaron Knighton. This project means to me that It showed me a lot about how many people don't have food and that we are blessed, and yeah.
That's it. Reese Paul.
I think what I learned was that we should raise awareness for people that don't have money to buy the right healthy foods that they need, and that we should raise money for them all to raise or make stores for other people that don't have money to buy healthy foods to get.
Perfect, and we'll end with Terrell Willis.
So I'm Terrell, and what I learned in this project was that all over the world, people suffer from food insecurity, and not a lot of people know it. So there is so we need to spread awareness and stuff so that these people can be helped, so they don't have to go to bed at night very hungry. Even like in New York City, there's 1 in 5 kids suffer from food insecurity. So that's like very bad. So we need to help that.
Thank you so much. We will turn it back over to Tanisha Murphy.
Wow, that was beautiful. You all did a terrific job. There was some great photos and the information was great. And we can tell that you all learned a lot. And I'm just proud. I'm very proud of what the work that you have done and what you will do in the future from this knowledge that you've gained doing this project. So great job to all of you. If we could give you a round of applause, we would. But there you go. So next up, we're going to, I would like to ask Maura Ackerman to join us. Maura is the facilitator of the Syracuse Onondaga Food Systems Alliance, a newly formed food council, which aims to strengthen our local food system so that it works for all people in our community. It's also known as SOFSA. And SOFSA works across boundaries to develop projects, advocate for policies, align resources, and foster relationships to improve the health of our neighbors and our environment. Through her past and present work, Maura has developed a deep commitment to forging creative collaborations among diverse partners in order to build strong, healthy, equitable communities. And I would like, Maura, thank you for being here with us this evening. And my first question to you, Maura, is why is having access to food, even more so nutritional security, such an important topic here in Central New York?
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks, Tanisha, for that kind introduction. Certainly, we knew that food insecurity was an issue well before the pandemic. Here in Onondaga County, where I'm based, 1 in 10 people and more than 1 in 6 children were experiencing food insecurity, according to the most recent USDA data before the pandemic. And that was even before all of the challenges that we've faced over the last 14 months. Since the pandemic began, we've seen rates of food insecurity rise among many different segments of our community, from folks who've long been teetering on the economic edge to others who may not have ever worried about food or money before. And all of us have seen firsthand just how fragile our food system is when we found grocery stores empty of our favorite items at various points over the last year. We know that a return to some sort of new normal has begun, but we need to ensure that our recovery doesn't just reinstate systems that were broken from the outset. To do that, SOFSA is working on building a more just and resilient food system that works for all people in Syracuse and Onondaga County. We're bringing stakeholders from every corner of the food system together, from dairy farmers to restaurant workers, community gardeners to grocers, and everyone else who touches the food that sustains us every day. By working together, we're hoping to better understand the issues that one another face and to discover opportunities to align our efforts so that each of us can be more successful. Our hope is that we all can have access to, one, the food we want to eat, two, the resources we need to procure that food, and three, the power to participate in shaping our future food system together. Any of you all and anyone who you'd like to invite are welcome to join SAFSA in this work by visiting searfoodalliance.org/get involved, and I'll put that link in the chat box for you all. Thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to Tanisha.
Thank you, Maura. I just have a couple of questions for you. So you invited people to get involved, and you're going to put the link in the chat here. But what are some of the jobs, or what are some of the things that they can do if they do get involved?
Great question. So we basically bring people together for conversations as sort of a starting point, building relationships and building our network so that we are really connecting people and seeing those opportunities emerge. And so it involves coming to meetings. We have a quarterly network building meeting. We have a great number of committees working on school food. We're about to launch an urban food production working group. We have a food as medicine working group. And then we also have a number of other groups that are working to sort of make sure that the council that we're forming together is a sustainable organization long term. So yeah, people can be involved by joining us and joining those committees, and yeah, we'd love to have you. That's all.
And one last question is, you mentioned a little bit about it, the pandemic, and how, when supplies run out. I mean, we all know what happened with the toilet paper. But, even like I'll say, I went to the grocery store last Sunday and it wasn't stocked properly. And it was just probably because they were stocking it. And I know I felt like, oh my gosh, now I got to go to another grocery store to get this, what I need. And I'm just lucky enough to be able to do that, first of all. But what has the pandemic brought to the forefront in terms of food insecurity and nutritional security?
Yeah, I think one of the things is just how interconnected our food system has become. Our global food system relies on so many people at so many different stages in producing our food, packaging it, getting it transported from place to place all over the world. And when one of those linkages breaks down, what ultimately happens is that the folks who make it to the grocery store, especially those who may have only one opportunity to get there a month because they borrow a car or they're schlepping across the city on a bus to make that one trip. It really can make people what's in people's cupboards even more dry, in addition to all the other ramifications that we've talked about reliance on food pantries and just people not having enough resources in their pockets, whether that's benefits or money from the jobs that they hold.
Well, thank you, Maura. That information is so helpful, and we'll wait to see the link that, oh, you already put it in there. See, you're so good. And so it's in there right now. It's syrfoodalliance.org/get-involved. Thank you so much, Maura.
Thank you, Tanisha.
And if anyone has any questions for Maura, you can put those in the chat box there, and she will be happy to answer them for us at the end of our event tonight. But up next, I'd like to introduce Frances McGuire, the program manager for the Double Up Food Bucks New York program at Field and Fork Network based in Buffalo. Frances is deeply passionate about working towards an equitable local food economy and working to ensure that all people in our community have access to healthy food that they need. Frances, I've been hearing a lot about Double Up Food Bucks recently. Can you walk us through what that is?
Of course. Thanks, Tanisha, and thanks everybody for being here and for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. So as it's been discussed tonight, many families across the state struggle with food insecurity. SNAP benefits help to alleviate this issue by enabling participants to stretch their food dollars and purchase healthier foods, but oftentimes in reality, it's not enough money for people to actually put healthy food on their plates. So the Double Up Food Bucks program is what is referred to as a SNAP incentive program, and it is funded under something called the GusSchumacher Nutrition Incentive Program, or GusNIP for short. So GusNIP was established in 2014 to boost local economies while simultaneously helping to further increase access to healthy food and address hunger challenges. By adding financial incentives to encourage SNAP participants to purchase more fruits and vegetables, families and individuals are able to improve their diets overall. And we are really thrilled to share that Double Up Food Bucks will be coming to the Syracuse community this year. We haven't launched any of the Syracuse-based sites yet, but this summer you can keep a lookout for Double Up at 4 locations in Syracuse: Brady Market, the Brady Market Farm Stand, Holly Market, and both Syracuse Cooperative Market locations. So we're really excited about that. And so how does it work? It's really simple. Double Up matches SNAP benefits dollar for dollar at participating locations. For every dollar spent with SNAP benefits, program users get a free dollar to spend on fruits and vegetables. So for example, if you spent $10 from your SNAP or EBT card at a participating farmer's market, mobile market, farm stand, small retail location, corner store, or grocery store, we will give you another $10 to buy fresh fruits and vegetables grown in New York State. Bringing Double Up to Central to New York, and especially to Syracuse, is just one way we're addressing nutritional security. We must continue to advocate for the necessary funds to add these nutrition incentives so that all SNAP participants are able to purchase more fruits and vegetables easily at accessible locations. So we are asking for your help tonight. We have been working really closely with the American Heart Association to secure local funding to bring more Double Up Food Bucks sites to Central New York. So we are asking for your help in calling your Onondaga County legislators and just simply calling the number that is on the screen and letting your legislators know that you support the Double Up Food Bucks program will go a really long way in helping us bring more funding for the program and more Double Up Food Bucks sites to Onondaga County. You can also learn more about the program if you're interested at doubleupnys.com. I will put that in the chat box. And yeah, we thank you for your help and would be thrilled if you all could call your legislators. So thank you. Together we can drive economic growth for local farmers and businesses and build a healthier community.
Thank you, Frances. And of course, I can't let you go anywhere without asking a question or two. Sure. So we will see Double Up coming to the Syracuse community later this year. How will families be able to know that the program is started, or how do they know when they can start applying for those benefits?
So the nice thing about Double Up is there's really no application process involved. Any SNAP user can go to any of the locations up on the slide earlier, or there's a really handy location map locator on our website, which again, I'll link you guys to in the chat box. So any SNAP user can go into any Double Up Food Bucks location and just sign up right at the register. It takes like 30 seconds. And there will be like really big signage and big fancy advertising, letting people know that Double Up Food Bucks is available in those locations.
Okay, and then I shouldn't get greedy here and ask a personal question, but how do we stretch our dollars when buying fruits and vegetables? I mean, I know I go in and I buy stuff that I feel like goes bad fast, and I'm always telling my daughter, you need to eat these today because they were $6.99.
I know.
Are there any tips to keep the food fresh longer, or should I be buying different? I buy a lot of berries and peppers. Peppers last long, but are there any tips that you could give us to try to stretch our dollars here?
Sure, a couple things. I think it's really important to store things properly. So making sure, you know, things that need to go in the fridge are going in the fridge. But I also, and I'm not the greatest at this, admittedly, preparing foods and eating them later. So if you have vegetables, it's a really good idea to just roast them. You can literally like roast any vegetable with salt and pepper, and they will last in the fridge once they're cooked, kind of like forever. And with fruit, you can always, you know, with berries, you can freeze them. But yeah, I'm a big advocate for just getting the vegetables and roasting them right away so you don't forget to cook them.
The freezing one is good too. So I can buy strawberries and freeze them, and then like maybe later in the week take them out, and they probably thaw quick, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they definitely do. And then another really good thing to get some nutritious fruits, frozen fruits, is in smoothies. So you could freeze your strawberries, freeze your bananas, your fresh strawberries and bananas, put them in the freezer. And if your bananas are starting to get a little brown, then pop them in the freezer and then put them in a smoothie.
There you go. Look at all we've learned here tonight. Thank you so much, Francis. And I'm sure you're going to put that the link in the chat for us so that we all know where to go. And we appreciate your information you provided. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now I'd like to invite anyone that has any questions to put them in the chat box. We're going to turn it over to the American Heart Association, Christy and Lisa, and they're going to moderate our conversation, with the moderator. So or with the panelists, excuse me. So you ask your questions, and then we will get answers for you. So don't go anywhere. And I'll turn it over now to Christy Small.
At the moment, we don't have any questions in the chat box, but we have had some great conversation about what to do with your produce and some great tips there. But so far, we have no questions. If anyone has any questions, please remember to choose all panelists and attendees.
Okay, so we'll wait here and for just a couple minutes to see if anyone has any questions. I would like to say it's been very informative tonight, and the Double Up Food Bucks program sounds phenomenal. So if you know anyone that would affect, it's best to tell them, especially the markets that they can get food from. So, we have a question.
Yes, we have one question to any of our panelists who can answer. What is the one thing that we can all do today to help with food insecurity?
I just want to remind everyone, I'm not a panelist. So that would be Francis McGuire or Maura or Carrie. Those are questions directed for you all.
Hey everybody, it's Carrie. So after Maura was done talking and she popped the link in, I clicked on it, went to I copied it into my browser and went to the site, and there is a spot to donate. So I'm all teed up. When this is over, I will make my personal donation today, because I think that is one thing we can all do, which is to donate to organizations that are helping to ensure food security in our community.
Well, Carrie, I really appreciate that. Thank you on behalf of SAFSA for your generous donation in advance. And I think there are lots of organizations like ours doing this great work. There are also grassroots organizations that may not have sort of well-designed websites or easy to find donation buttons. And so also getting to know those organizations in your community and volunteering your time, your expertise, your funds to support those projects is really valuable. As well, and just really learning more about the issue of food insecurity and how precarious so many of our situations are, right? So many of us are but one car repair, medical emergency, or otherwise away from being in a food insecure situation ourselves. And so having a lot of compassion for what that experience looks and feels like, and to the extent that we can, really just working to continually understand that better.
And I'm just gonna kind of piggyback off of what Mara said, but I think that volunteering and helping to raise awareness for nutrition insecurity and food insecurity in your community is something that everyone can do, even if it's just educating yourself on the realities of nutrition insecurity within your community. That's a start. But like Maura said, organizations like ours and like so many people, there are so many organizations doing great work with food insecurity, but a huge problem in this field of work is making people aware of the work that's being done. A lot of these organizations have really small staffs, and we're always struggling to make sure people know about the programs that are available for people to use. So I think volunteering to help people raise awareness is a huge thing that people can do.
Frances, are there volunteer opportunities through the Field and Fork?
Yes, there are. If anyone is ever interested in volunteering, they can email me, and I can put my email in the chat box for everyone. But we're always looking, and we're actually looking pretty hard right now to kind of gain some ground volunteers in different communities, because the program is implemented all across the state.
And what types of projects are you guys working on now?
So we're really with our volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking for advocates who can be someone that has a presence in a farmer's market or in a community, to just talk to people who are shopping at the store or the farmer's market, educate them about the program, help them sign up, make sure they know how to use it, where to use it, and just really be present. I think just having a presence in a community is really important. So someone who really knows about the program, knows how to use it, and wants to talk to people about it.
Great, Christy, it looks like we have a couple more questions.
Yes, we have a question for Maura and Frances for both of the programs that you're involved with. Are there federal sources of funding to support these programs?
Oh, I just chimed in the chat, but I'll let Frances talk about the GusNet program a little bit more, but SAFSA is supported by a USDA grant. We were among the inaugural round of recipients for a Regional Food Systems Partnership Grant, which is a new federal program through the USDA. It's a 2-year planning grant, which is going to help us really experiment and try out different models of community engagement and building our network. It allowed us to bring on another staff person, so now we are a team of 2 instead of 1, which is very exciting for us. So yes, there's federal funding out there to support sort of the network building that SAFSA is doing, as well as the programmatic work like Double Up Food Bucks.
And for us, yes, we are. The GusSchumacher Nutrition Incentive Program is a federal program through USDA. So we do have a large-scale project grant through that grant program. It's the 3rd GusNIP grant that we have received and been awarded. So for every federal dollar that we get from GusNIP, we have to raise a private dollar as well. So we have a ton of private funding. And what we don't have at this point is any state or local funding. And that's where we're asking for your help tonight and calling your Onondaga legislators.
We have another question. I think this would probably start with Maura. Is there a segment of our population that is experiencing more food insecurity than others?
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of factors that can increase someone's likelihood of experiencing food insecurity. Interestingly, one of the most as a parent, I really empathize with this data that being a single parent of young children puts you at increased risk of food insecurity. So that is certainly one. I think being a caretaker of an elder or a disabled individual are also factors that put you at greater risk. I think we also see increased risk of food insecurity among communities of color, and that dates back to lots of historical reasons for and systemic racism that has contributed to patterns like this that exist in so many areas, but food insecurity is just another example of the situation that we need to address together in building equity in the food system and beyond. I don't know, I probably missed other areas that put people at greater risk of food insecurity. There are many others.
And our final chat box question, are there different levels to nutrition insecurity?
Francis, you want to go with that, or you want?
I can start. I think that, you know, just lacking the access to food, good, healthy food, would define nutrition insecurity. I think that, you know, some people there's a scale of access, right? How much can people afford? What type of transportation do people have? How close is the nearest grocery store? So every person is different. So I think that yes, there are, but the broader issue itself is it is a very big problem for many, many people. So I don't know if you have anything to add, Maura.
Yeah, I think from a data perspective, it's interesting to think about because there's sort of like the empty plate on the table issue of food insecurity, but food insecurity also includes people who are worrying from one week to the next whether they're going to have enough money to put that food on the table. So that element of stress and worry that people live with every day, wondering whether they're going to have an empty plate, is also an element of food insecurity. And then I think also even deeper than empty food on the plate, many families sort of protect their children from food insecurity. So adults skip meals and to ensure that children do not. And so the most food insecure families are families where like everyone in the household is sort of experiencing a smaller meal or less frequent meals due to food insecurity. So if that gets at the levels question a little bit.
And we actually have had a little bit more come in. And this one, I'm going to turn to Francis first. It seems as if federal funding has expanded during COVID as we begin to see more vividly the food insecurity needs. How can we ensure these funding sources continue after the pandemic?
That's a really good question. And it's true, there has been a ton of funding allocated to nutrition insecurity and low-income consumers and SNAP users during COVID, and we have definitely been able to tap into some of that. A lot of the funding that we've seen has been allocated to emergency food, so food pantries and food banks. So I think something that we're trying to do is think about ways that people can use more sustainable programs like Double Up Food Bucks, where they're actually able to go and shop and make their own choices and have agency over the healthy food that they are putting on their plate, as opposed to having to go to the food bank and rely on emergency food. So I think that part of what we're trying to do is kind of shift the mindset of lawmakers away from emergency food and into more sustainable funding solutions. So we are actively engaging in these conversations right now, and I think that's a really great question, and it's one we're trying to weed our way through every day. So thanks for the question.
Yeah, great answer, Francis. And just to piggyback on that, and it sort of goes back to that first question of what can we all do? And I think the more we all know about food insecurity and the more we talk about it, I think, as I mentioned in my remarks, food insecurity has really bubbled up and become very, very visible. I would say prior to the pandemic, it was an issue that people sort of thought was superfluous to many people, not everyone. Certainly most people on this call probably were already advocates for building food security prior to the pandemic, but you would talk to some anti-poverty advocates and they would see food as separate from their own advocacy efforts. And I think making a bigger tent and building our advocacy muscle together to say that this is all part of one big picture is a huge way that we can all contribute to ensuring that we remain on the radar and this issue remains clear in the minds of those in power.
All right, and this time I think that really is it for our chat box questions. I haven't seen any come in since the last ones that we've addressed.
Oh, I just want to say to Ellen's question about the Native American community in Onondaga County. So SAFSA is working closely with the Onondaga Nation. We actually have a seat on our advisory board dedicated to a member of the Onondaga Nation. They have a farm that they operate. They're doing some really incredible seed saving work. So again, among the grassroots organizations to learn about, I would say that the Onondaga Nation's work and the work of Braiding the Sacred, and I can put that in the chat box as well. There's some really incredible food sovereignty work happening among the Native communities in Central New York.
Well, thank you for that, Maura. And thank you to all of you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We especially want to thank National Grid, Jack and Jill of America, Inc., Syracuse Onondaga Food System Alliance, Field and Fork and Network, and especially the American Heart Association for coordinating this event. We hope you have enjoyed the community conversation on nutritional security in Central New York, and encourage you to get involved and use your voice by joining The Cure, the American Heart Association's grassroots advocacy platform at yourthecure.org, and also that call to action that's on your screen there. And we appreciate all of our moderators. Everything that you shared tonight was so helpful, and we appreciate you spending your time to talk to us tonight. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.